Hey, fourth grade. I got to looking over your must-do work, and I just want to make sure that everybody is okay, especially on your second math and writing must-do, which has this table at the top. Okay, and on the back of it is where I'm a little bit concerned. Questions 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10. When it asks you how many hundreds or how many thousands or 10,000s or 100,000s are in these numbers. And so I wanted to at least try to walk through some of these with you so you can think about it. It does require a lot of higher level thinking, and so it's not just going to be right there easily available to you. So don't get frustrated, don't give up. I don't have all my math tools here, which really stinks, and so that breaks my heart that we don't have those math tools to look at or Great Wall of Base 10 to look at, but I'll do the best that I can, and hopefully we can get through this part together. So you have a question of how many hundreds are in 1,000. Now, this is kind of set up like a problem string, honestly, because the first question is probably the easiest question on the page. So how many hundreds are in 1,000? If you go back and think about our classroom wall, and think about that Great Wall of Base 10, we had the little 1 unit, and then we had the 10 strip, and then we had the hundreds mat, and then we had the thousands mat, right? Or the 1,000 strip mat, the really tall column, okay? So each one of those big long strip mats had how many of the little mats in it? How many of the hundreds? If you can remember, we stacked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those. So 10 groups of 100 is equal to 1,000. And so really, this is kind of like multiplication in a sense. You're actually finding the missing factor. So really, it's like division. Hold on just a second. I'm going to help my little angel here. So Genevieve. Can you say hi to everybody? Hi. All right. You good? All right, go in the living room for a few minutes. I'll give you a snack in about 15 minutes, okay?
Yay! And make sure
Okay. So, what makes this difficult? It is more like a division problem because you're finding the missing factor. You know what the end result needs to be. It needs to be 1,000. And we know that we have so many hundreds, but we don't know how many of them. I hope you can see that. We don't know what that blank is. So how many groups of 100 are equal to 1,000? So if we think back to that Great Wall Base 10, and we start with the 1 unit, which is 1, and then we have 10 of those, build the 10 strip, and then 10 of those strips build the hundreds mat, and then 10 of those hundreds mat, they build that 1,000 strip mat. Okay, so we have 10 of them. And if we skip count by 100, 10 times, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 10 hundreds. 10 hundreds is the same as 1,000. So 10 times 100 is 1,000. So we would answer that with the number 10. So the next question you were asked are how many hundreds are in 7,000? Okay. Now, if you compare 7,000 to 1,000, how many times bigger is 7,000 than 1,000? Hopefully you can say at this point that there would need to be 7 1,000s to make 7,000. So that kind of gives me a clue that, hey, maybe this factor over here needs to be 7 times bigger as well. So we still have multiplying by 100 because we're saying how many hundreds are in 1,000. But now we've got to equal 7,000. And so when we look at that and we know that 7,000 is 7 times bigger than 1,000, then this needs to be 7 times bigger as well. So 10 times 7 is 70. So 70 groups of 100 equals 7,000. And so just imagine seven of those strip mats going across the wall. Okay? And that means you would have 70 100s, and that means you would have 7,000. I hope you're able to visualize that. I know it's a lot to ask of you when you don't have it right there in front of you. But let's go on to the very next problem, okay? How many hundreds are in 10,000? Okay, so imagine that we have 10 of those strip mats, those large strip mats that are 1,000 going across. We have 10 of them. How many of those 100 mats are in those? Okay, is that making sense? I hope so. Well, if we are thinking about that it takes 10 100s to make 1,000, how many hundreds does it take to make 10,000? Okay, well, if we look back here, 1,000 compared to 10,000, 10,000 is 10 times bigger than 1,000. So this factor here needs to be 10 times greater as well because we're not changing the 100 at all. That's the size of our groups each time. So what's 10 times 10? 100. So it's actually, there are actually 100 hundreds mats in 10,000. So these answers look something like this, okay? Now, I know there's several more problems and they get even more tricky, but I want you to do the absolute best that you can and know that I'm not going to be upset with you if you make an error, okay? This takes a lot of thinking and wrapping your mind around large numbers is not easy because it's hard to show large numbers easily. So we are looking for those patterns that we can rely on every single time. And so that's why we've been talking about this year, the importance of place value and the powers of 10, and how each place value as we move to the left gets 10 times greater. In other words, it takes 10 of the previous to make one of that bigger place value. So it takes 10 ones to make a 10. It takes 10 tens to make 100. It takes 10 hundreds to make 1,000. It takes 10 thousands to make 10,000. It takes 10 thousands to make 10. Did I just say that? 10 1,000s to make 10,000. 10 10,000s to make 100,000. 10 100,000s to make 1,000,000. So we have that pattern that can help us with these larger numbers. So stick with it and don't be so worried if there's an error, but really give it some thought. Okay? Good luck, guys. I'm here for you.